everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm getting back into the releases videos. I really like filming these and a lot of you seem to like them. They're pretty informative. I'm going to talk about 5 of the releases that I'm most excited about in the month of August. There aren't that many sequels or big releases. All of those are coming in September to October. Like, we have one more month to prepare ourselves before we get the next onslaught of huge releases of the year. So I'm going to talk about some of the books that I'm excited for this little break month. So the first book that I want to talk about is Wicked Like Wildfire. This comes out on August 15th, and this is by Lana Popovic. I have no idea how to say that name, but I already pre-ordered this. Because look at the cover, just look at it. It's so pretty. I just like it so much. And it just sounds really good and very unique. This is following 2 girls, Iris and Melina. They are sisters, and like all the women in their family, they have the magical ability, which I believe is called a gleam, in order to manipulate beauty. And not necessarily like a glamour on themselves, but Iris can see flowers like fractals and she turns that into art. And Melina can hear music when she interprets moods. Like if she sees a mood, she hears music. So that's all very super interesting. And then something happens to their mother, who has been forcing them to keep their gifts a secret from their town their entire lives, which pretty much leads to them discovering why she put up a wall around their family for so long, why they need to keep it secret. So it just sounds really awesome. It's beautiful looking, and I'm just so excited for this. So August 15th is when we can get this one. The next book I want to talk about is The Art of Feeling. This also comes out on August 15th, and this is by Laura Timms. This is going to be a contemporary, which I'm working my way back into for the summer. This is going to follow a girl who her whole life is turned upside down when she's in a car accident that leaves her both physically and emotionally hurting, just in a lot of pain. She has a really bad leg injury, but she also lost her mother in this car accident, so she's got a lot of emotional baggage and emotional pain to work through. She meets a boy who has a very rare medical condition which allows him to not feel pain. I feel like I've read books similar to that, and it's always very intriguing to me, but basically he can't feel pain and he has a lot of self-harming tendencies. So when they come together, I'm sure there's going to be some collision and some obstacles, but I'm sure it's going to turn into a really cool relationship, just because one extreme to the other. But this sounds super fun to read. I'm sure it's going to have a pretty emotional impact, but it just sounds like a really good, wholesome contemporary. The next book I want to talk about is Blight, and this is by Alexander Duncan. This comes out on August 1st, and it sounds super unique. We haven't had that many dystopian type stories, and I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as dystopian, but it definitely has vibes like that. This is following Tempest, who is a teenager who, as a baby, was left outside of the gates of this huge agricultural genetic engineering farm. Like, it's this big corporation that has genetically engineered food, and it has a lot of security around it because people are constantly trying to break in to get this special genetically, it sounds like GMO type food. So she has pretty much grown up there and worked there her entire life when a group of rebels tries to break in, and they accidentally set off an explosion which releases a blight into the air, which kills everything in its path, including humans. Tempest, our main character, has pills or an antidote of some sort, and she ends up escaping along with one of the rebels, and who is a boy, so you know that's gonna end up in a romance. But pretty much they're starting to uncover everything that this corporation hid, and it sounds like a lot of like scientific and genetic engineering takeover, and it just sounds very cool. It sounds very science-based for a dystopian, so it sounds very, very interesting. I'm very excited for this. This next book that I'm going to talk about is probably like my most anticipated because it sounds so unique, and that is All Rights Reserved. This is by Gregory Scott Katsoulis. Don't know how to say your last name. Looks very Greek to me. This comes out on August 29th, and it just sounds so cool. This is set in a world where once you transition into the age of adulthood, which is age 15, so not very old, every word that you speak costs you money. So this is going to be a very quiet world, obviously, but in the little description of it, it said like the word sorry costs you a flat $10 fee and is a legal admission to guilt. Any sort of like nod or gesture or scream or laugh costs you a set amount of money. So there is a lot of debt in this world because obviously you can only control so much of what you say and do. So that concept was super intriguing, but we are following a girl who is about to make her last day speech, which means she's about to turn 15, she's about to become an adult, and every word that she says she gets charged for. So I guess they make this big speech on their 15th birthday or whatever, but right as that's about to happen, her best friend growing up commits suicide rather than take on his family's debt. So sounds really heavy, really intense, and like a thrill ride of a book. It just sounds so cool to me. It sounds amazing, and I believe it's the start of a series, which I will read the crap out of. And the last book that I want to talk about is called The Arsonist by Stephanie Oakes, who is like, she's a author that I think I'm gonna look out for. She wrote The Sacred Lies of Minnow Bly, which I loved. She writes really good dark contemporary, like the dark and gritty contemporary with like really cool storylines. This comes out on August 22nd, and we are following 3 teens in this book. We're following Molly, whose father is on death row. He has an execution date set for, I believe, murdering his wife and her mother, and Molly is kind of in denial that her mother is actually dead. So I'm sure there's going to be some family turmoil there. And we are following Pepper, who is a Kuwaiti immigrant who has epilepsy, and it describes him as having the worst service dog ever. So that's going to be great. I like any sort of animal element. But it sounds like he's also just kind of going through basic teenage boy issues, like with high school and his grades and girls, everything. So we're following those two who end up meeting through some strange course of events, and we are also going to be following Ava, who is an East German resistance fighter whose murder ended up leading to the destruction of the Berlin Wall. So we're gonna have some historical fiction aspects as well. So I believe that these two first characters are going to meet and end up trying to solve the mystery of what happened in the past to Ava. It just sounds so cool. It's an amazing cover. I love it. I love Stephanie Oakes' writing. She's just so good at the hard-hitting contemporary type stories. So I'm very excited for this. It comes out on August 22nd, and you better believe I'm getting my hands on it. Those are all of the books that I'm the most excited about for August. I feel like some of those are going to be some good reading to prepare me for September, which is going to be a big month for releases, and pretty much all of fall of 2017 is going to be pretty big. So that's going to be it for this video. If you guys have any books that you are looking forward to, please let me know, because I'm always on the hunt for new releases. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in my next video.